Good afternoon, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing an up close and personal brow tutorial as well as a makeup review. I'm going to start off by adding some translucent powder to my brows so when I add my products it won't be slipping and sliding. I'm going to use my spoolie and I'm going to brush my hairs up in the direction that they grow. I need to do arch my eyebrows, but I'm waiting till they grow in just a little bit thicker. Taking that brow pencil, I'm just going to outline the bottom of my brow, and I do kind of lift my brows just a little bit so I can see exactly where this product is going. Using light strokes, I go over the same section just a few more times to make sure that that line is nice and crispy. And don't worry, even if it's not, you always can fix it with concealer. And I'm going to repeat those same steps at the top of my brows, just outlining it. And I don't start at the very front of my brows because I don't want it to be boxy. And I'm going to lightly make that line and go over it whenever it's needed. But at the top, I don't want the line to be as dark as the bottom. And I'm just filling in certain areas where the hair is not as thick. And I'm going to continue to fill that in until I'm satisfied. The back end of your brows should always be darker than the front. But if you want it to be more natural looking, just go very light. And take your spoolie and brush those hairs up. Taking your spoolie, in my opinion, and brushing those hairs up in the middle of doing your brows help you to see exactly where you need to add more product. And now I'm just taking some very little light strokes at the front to kind of make some hairs. I do have hairs right there, but they're very light versus the other side. You can see them just a little more. And I'm just brushing those hairs up into the direction that I want them to go. And I kind of did a back and forth motion, so that I don't have a harsh line there. But I will fix my brows again later on. I'm not 100% finished. Repeating those same steps on the opposite side. You want to spoolie those hairs in the direction that they grow, just so you can get a general idea of how your shape is. And then outline the bottom of your brows, lifting your brows up just a little bit so you can see exactly where the brow pencil needs to go. And again, I do need my eyebrows arched. And now I'm just outlining the very top of my brows. Again, the same exact steps. As I always like to say, practice makes perfect. And again, your brows are supposed to be sisters, not twins, but you want to have them as close as possible. And I also like to brush the hairs down to fill in just a little bit more and then brush them back into place. And this helps me fill in those areas that are a little thin. Now to clean up my brows, I'm just going to take a concealer, and I like to start off by adding some product more down towards the lid instead of directly under my brow starting off, because I find that when you add it directly under, you have a lot of product buildup. So try adding it downward just a little bit and then work your way up. And with this product, it does not dry down too fast, so you can kind of take your time with it. And the longer you leave a concealer on, the more full coverage it will become. But now I'm just outlining my brows. Again, you don't need as much as I used. I was actually going to put on some eyeshadow and I decided not to at the last minute. So add just a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. And as you can see, I'm making sure underneath is 100% concealed, as well as making sure that I'm getting the coverage that I need. But you can receive that coverage with a little bit. And now, just to make sure that that line is 100% crispy, I'm going to start from that arch and work my way towards the front, because I don't want it to be any type of dips. Now I'm just going to repeat the same steps on the opposite side. And for me, I find that it's best to use a palette or even the back of your hand when you're using the concealer. That way you don't have to keep stopping to squeeze more product out. And again, you want to start a little bit onto your lid and then work your way up to the brow to start outlining. And this will help that you don't have that much product build up under your brows, because if it's a lot of product build up under your brows, it can blend into your brows when you go to blend and buff it out. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, a little go a long way, unless you're planning on doing any type of eyeshadow. Most of the time you won't have to necessarily conceal the top portion of your brows, but I like to. And for the most part, I would use a concealer that's preferably my skin tone or even my foundation. Do what works for you. I just use what was in front of me at the moment. Now I'm just going to take this buffing brush, and it's a small buffing brush from Real Techniques, and I'm just going to buff that out starting from the bottom portion and working my way up, just so I again don't have that product build up directly under my eye. And I'm going to blend this 100% before moving on to the other side. And also you can use a beauty blender for this step, but I just chose to use a small buffing brush because I found it works a lot better, especially when you get closer to your brows. I feel like a beauty blender kind of pushes that product more into your brows if you're not very careful. With this, it's like you can get as close but barely touching. And you want that concealer to be nice and smooth, because if you was to add on eyeshadows, you don't want a lumpy base. You always want a smooth base. And you can also use a setting powder to set it into place before adding your eyeshadows, or you also can go on top just the way it is. At the top of your brows, you want to buff out the outer portion first before going in towards your brows, just the same as the bottom one. But with the top, I like to 100% make sure that there's no harsh lines whatsoever, because if you go to add on your foundation on top, sometimes if it's not properly blended out, you can see it through your foundation. And for any reason, if you messed up your brows, you can always go back in with your brow pencil or brow pomade to fix it. Now I'm going in with a foundation brush and I'm just blending that out even further. And you don't necessarily have to do this step, but I just like to do it just to make sure that everything is nicely blended before going in with either an eyeshadow or a setting powder. Okay, and this wraps up the portion of the brows. Now moving on to some primer. I'm using the Milk Hydro Grip primer just to prime my face. And I love this primer because it does exactly what it says it's going to do, and it does help that foundation stay on your face even longer. And if you're worried about the dark spots on my face, I do have PCOS, so I had a massive flare up back in July, August time frame, and I can't help but pick with my face, so that's why it looks like that. Now I'm trying out the KVD Good Apple Foundation Balm, and this is maybe the 4th time I've tried it, but this is the first time I ever filmed it. It is a little bit light, but once I blend it out, it kind of goes with my skin tone. It's just the dark spots on my face make it seem like it's lighter than what it actually is. Now I can say I do like the coverage that this gives. I wish I found a different shade, but this is the shade that I was matched with, going off of other foundations that 100% matches my face. This is the 074, and I think I should have got, I believe it's the 75 or the 76, and they didn't have it in stock, so I had to go with the color that I was matched with. And I can say I am impressed. Will I purchase it again? Yes, but in the correct shade. I will have to do a wear test. I can say every time I filmed this video, I never left the foundation on that long, so I don't know how exactly it wears throughout the day. So I will post another video later on my thoughts on that, but I will purchase it again. I love the coverage. Like I said, I just feel like I needed a different shade, but everything worked out so good, and it blew my mind. So I'm just taking that foundation brush and I'm just buffing that into my skin and just looking at how that coverage is, and a little goes a long way. I can say my very, very, very first time putting this on, I hated it because I felt like it was very muddy. And then I realized that maybe I put on too much, and that's why I tried it out a few more times before filming the video. And honestly, this is my 3rd time filming this video, you guys. Each time, either I wasn't looking up at the camera, or I was looking down at my mirror and you couldn't really see what I was doing. So I had to make sure this time it was right. But yes, I will purchase it again. I didn't go and add like a whole bunch of stuff to this makeup look. I just kept it very simple, as you can see by the thumbnail. Now I'm just taking some setting spray just to help that set into place even more. And then I'm going to take a damped beauty blender to blend it out even further. And I love the shine that it gives. I have dry skin and it's giving me so much gloss and shine, but it does dry out matte, so be careful when adding on your setting powders if you have dry skin. This is a foundation balm, so I just wanted to make that clear. It's not like your typical foundation, so just be aware whether you have dry skin or oily skin. And now I'm just taking my spoolie and going into the foundation, wiggling back and forth to give it that more faded ombre look. Now I'm going in with another concealer just to highlight a little bit, and I'm trying the new technique that's been trending lately to see how I like it. This concealer is a little bit lighter than what I would normally use, but it doesn't blend out to be that light, so that's fine. I like a highlighted look, but not too highlighted. And I just blend that out with that same damped beauty blender and make sure I blend it out 100% before going in with any type of setting powder. Now I'm just taking that small buffing brush and I'm buffing some powder underneath my eyes just to control the creasing area so the concealer don't crease up as much. It's gonna crease regardless, but it will help not crease as much. Then I'm going to go in with the sponge and add some lightly to my nose as well as my chin, my forehead, and then add a little bit more underneath my eyes. Oh yeah, and please don't forget about your eyelids. You have to get your eyelids. And I also went over my brows, but you'll see that later on in the video. And since I decided at this point not to do any type of eyeshadow, I'm going to take some eyeliner and just make a cute little wing, and just to make my eyes stand out a little bit more without having on any type of eyeshadow. And then I'm going to add on some mascara and do my lips, and then that will complete this video. I did lightly dust over my face with another powder just to set the rest of my face into place. Hope y'all enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will be posting more videos coming very soon.